teeth, gold chain wearing, fried chicken and biscuit eating, monkey ate baboon, big thigh, fast running, high jumping, spear chucking, 360-degree basketball dunking, titsoon, spade, mulling yarn. Pizza, and go the fuck back to Africa.
It's racial.
Well, expand.
All right, bet. Now, check it out. The white ball dominates everything, right? It knocks the shit out the yellow ball, the red ball, right? And the game's over when the white ball drives the black ball completely off the table. Now, why is that?
I don't know, but I'm sure you tell me, my brother.
Sure, you're right. Look, it's because of the white man's fear of the sexual potency of black balls.
Portions of the following program may be unsuitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Remember, the enemy has only images and illusions, behind which he hides his true motives. Destroy the image, and you will break the enemy.
Life. I have a wonderful family. They're saying, Dad, you're going to do something that's going to be so tough. We will no longer surrender this country or its people to the false song of globalism. No American citizen will ever again feel that their needs come second to the citizens of a foreign country.
Good luck with that.
We're going to win. We're going to win it for the people. We're going to win it for our country. We're going to make America great again.
U.S. Mint
goddess of liberty to be shown as a negress. You know I'm going to say that again. United States Mint, goddess of liberty to be shown as a negress. A worthless race for our worthless currency. They've been talking about the American Negro and its considerable failings a lot lately. Mainly because for many white, noticing the manifest inferiority of the living fossil is the first step to waking up and seeing the world as it really is. Talking about the Jewish role in the international banking or the Frankfurt School is largely useless when dealing with a slumbering white. After all, that's Nazi talk. Conversely, even mainstream kosher science has been forced to admit there is a racial gap in intelligence and that this gap is going to have serious consequences on everything from crime to bastardly to building a house that a beaver couldn't replicate. From there is a simple matter to explain to the opium dreamer that the Negro contains foreign genetic material not found in any other branch of humanity, and this accounts for their extremely divergent appearance and pathological behavior. Once the "we are all equal" delusion has been ground into dust by indisputable facts, we can start talking about the traveling merchant. But you have to walk before you can run. Meanwhile, that same Jewish enemy continues its desperate attempt to uplift the evolutionary dead end, slapping an ugly negress on the new shekel. See, no different than a white person goyim. This half-human creature only fails because of your sins. You need to grovel. You need to die. The United States government of Thursday issued a new commemorative collector's coin featuring Lady Liberty depicted as a black woman. The first time in history that the famed symbol of American is portrayed as an African American. Another exciting first for the crabgrass American, just in time for Malala History Month. Look out, China. We're putting what you call ghost slaves on your coins. This is a major victory for a head in the sand denial of what every sane person understood 100 years ago. The 2017 American Liberty 225th Anniversary Gold Coin shows the woman's head in profile with a crown of stars. Sort of like the cartoon stars that circle in a character's head when he's dazed or stunned. A state America has been in for about 50 years and is finally starting to shake off. As we as a nation continue to evolve, so does liberty's representation, said Lisa Bansite, United States Chief of Staff. Think of it like those crude, debased, and artistically unpleasant coins the Roman Empire produced as it evolved circa 400 AD. We live in a nation that affords us the opportunity to dream big and to try to accomplish the seemingly impossible. Holding the Negro to even the lowest standards of proper behavior certainly does seem impossible. The new edition will be released for public consumption in April, according to NBC News. There's no chocolate in there, so please don't try to literally consume it, American Zoo. It is the first in a series of coins that will show Lady Liberty as a minority. Future coins will show her as an Asian American, Hispanic American, and a Native American to reflect the cultural and ethnic diversity of the United States. This pathetic act of appeasement will lead to no discernible improvements in the minority, but at least we can signal our virtue and bask in the sanctimony when we're not fleeing the rot represented by the idealized brown faces on the funny money. Will there be a Caucasian version as well to represent all diversity? One Facebook user asked. Diversity means fewer whites, so no is the obvious answer. You keep the ugly thing, another Facebook commenter wrote, using all capital letters, not for this American. Shove it up your Tush Jew. Another Facebook user found joy in others' indignation, writing, "Y'all white people stay mad. Ha ha. This is all funny and games right now. You haven't even seen us mad yet. Ha ha." Hey, how's y'all doing? This is your whiteologist, Mr. Blows Your Minds, coming to you live, y'all. That's right, I'm live in the building. And guess what? I want some of y'all to actually subscribe to my channel, then enter to the circle so that I can send you, so that we can be in Google Hangouts, so that you and I can have some real dialogue on some of these topics that I'm presenting. Anybody interested in it? You heard what I just stated? Go on, do what you got to do. Let's get it popping, y'all. We in the day and age, we're at the crossroads where we can all have dialogues and conversations, even if you oppose these views, and that those who may be in agreement to it. It's called the meeting of the minds. Maybe we as a nation of people can come to a meeting of the minds, because if we don't, where we're heading, is there really going to be any winners? So let's get it on with this. So I found the article. I wanted to do it. It had been out for a period of time. And so it was talking about the United States Mint was going to produce a new commemorative coin due to their anniversary from 1792 to 2017. And I found this article that was actually really in opposition to it and saying some negative things as into it, right? So it's talked about the goddess of liberty to be shown as a negress. Right off the bat, they say goddess. Sisters? Now this is coming from one of those alt-right type of channels. And we have to look at a lot of this stuff is because they're propagating to their people as to a certain mindset that they believe that is to infuse a certain ideology to them. For those who are already inbred with that, they are mainly talking to those. As the story went on and talked about actually the dichotomy between two. There's that one that was said that those who talk in that spirit are considered Nazis, just like when our people hear people who talk in the aspect for blackness, that they say you're talking that black stuff. So actually both people who tend to give some light or to actually just have what they would call pride, right? When they just say you have pride, national pride for your nation. Is there anything wrong with national pride? Well, again, those who went to the scripture know that they say pride is before the crash, right? And so in the aspect of how this, nation that we're in, the way that it is divided up in such a way that, nations communalize and business and relation primarily with themselves, but that which has a more modern philosophy are trying to break a lot of those old traditions by, what they would say, interbreeding or intermarrying or interrelationships with each other, and teaches on that aspect for those who do that. But for me, as for the nation and of my people that I speak on behalf of, I'm saying that, we have to really look at this and understand why somebody would be putting out this kind of rhetoric is one, and two, why would they be trying to commemorate with your image is another thing. And as I go along in this story, we're going to get into that. So the story goes on and it talks about the considerable failings, right? This is the American Negro and its considerable failings. Now, when people who have the institutions to be able to propagate to a nation and those international, when you don't have the institutions to do it, then that's just like allowing somebody else to write your bibliography who may have an ideal about you, but don't know all the internal intricacies of every aspect of your life. So depending on the person's, agenda, they could slant you in such a way that the way that they're depicting you may not be a reality. But because no one else can counter it, it will be it will be the fingerprint left as to how people are going to view you. So when you hear somebody who's writing and talking about American Negroes and the considerable failings, based on the history of this land and all the things that black people have gone through, can you say wholeheartedly that the American Negro failing is really primarily all to his own? Or you're talking about the effects that have caused today and the residuals that you are seeing constantly? Is this perpetual of the what they call it, transgenerational lineage of dysfunction being passed down into people who some have even an inkling of how they got and why they are? So it's easy for you window shopping, looking outside at the mannequin and say, oh, they're considerable failing because they're just, inheritable failing people. But that would be far-fetched in your dissertation. You are misguiding, misinforming people, or really it's just you having your agenda set in your dialogue so that it can, give weight to your credence of your, whatever you're trying to propagate here. So it says that whites noticing the manifest inferiority of the living fossil. Again, when you say whites noticing the manifest inferiority of the living fossil, well, we're the living fossil, meaning that, when you talk about fossils, dinosaurs and antiquity and stuff of that nature, you're talking about people who are what they would say, the old, right? This is like the modern, like when you do history and they talk about you got the modern history, you got the dark ages, you got the middle ages, right? You got all these different ages, but we predate all that. So when you say fossil, you're talking about people who predate you and your history. But our history is not something that you would be propagating because it doesn't shine a good light on you. It shows that at one particular time in history, you yourself didn't even have a history. You understand? So over the time periods that have elapsed, and if we look at the chronology of the history and to see what done transpired and see how our people have failed from a place of grandeur, then we have to say, are these some of the contributing aspects to the failing aspect or to the inferiorness of these people? But the problem is you're not going to say that is because you have to self-propel in order to build a foundation of those who are coming behind you, because if the truth was ever to be known fully, then what do y'all stand on? So also in the story they go on and saying that seeing the world as it really is, and that's one thing that I don't think that a lot of you are objective to. A lot of you cannot see the world, and you're unilateral thinkers. Most of you, I'm not saying all of you, but most of you are unilateral thinkers to the aspect that you're blinded as into some of the things that are part of the things that make African American people failing, right? Now, what you say inferior, I don't understand that. You have to be more specific as into why you calling us inferior. Is it because that we just happen to have been people, according to the history of this land, have been put in positions to be subjugated to you, your authority, your will, and we have been in, I guess you could say, we've been fighting the whole time trying to make some kind of advances so that we could be this uninferior. But as long as that you're trying to make one step and they're putting, let's give an analogy. Let's say that I'm in a hole, and I'm in a hole I'm 6 feet in the ground. Maybe say I'm 10 feet in the ground. And let's say I'm digging myself up. But I don't realize that there's people at the top who are putting more dirt on where I should have gotten out 6 feet above. They have piled on more dirt and keep stacking the dirt, and I keep digging and digging as if there's no end to it. So if you're saying that people are not putting more dirt at the top, and that the people have dug themselves to that point and then have gotten out, and then they are just people who haven't done anything from that time, then maybe I could agree that they might be inferior. There's something wrong. There's something dysfunctional about you. But that's not what this is. There's a continual influx of things to prevent certain people. And if we're going to be real about this, a lot of this has something to do, again, with family and bloodlines, that some of the people of us who do come out of that hole have made allegiance to other people, and so they have disassociated themselves with us. And so when you look at them as the status of coming out of the hole versus those who are still in the hole, but then let's see what they've given up to be on the side to look in your eyes unfailable, when really all they did is acquiesce and succumb themselves to being you. So the problem is you dissertate things like this, and this stuff here is just not real. And so it goes on to say there's a racial gap in intelligence, and there's this gap is going to have serious consequences on everything from crime to bastardly to building houses that a beaver couldn't even replicate. Now, you see, racial gap in intelligence. Why are y'all so focused on the fact that you want to believe that you're more intelligent, if there's such a thing, right? Is that something y'all created? Did you create intelligence? Right? Because if we're the fossil people and you are the modern people, did we use intelligence to describe what you're trying to talk about? And if we did, from your concept, you would be lacking because we initiated when you were inferior. You understand? You were inferior when we were superior, and then now you take us in our inferior state now, and then you want to tell us your superiorness and your defining and meaning when you just really buried all that. So intelligent in your case is, I guess, just basically when you say, do you speak the Queen's English, that, there's certain living a standard and achievements and the kiss the ring, then that's acceptable to you. But if anybody wants to just be themselves, that's not acceptable to you, right? And so to go on with that, that you're blaming us for the consequences of everything from crime to bastardly. You're going to blame us on crime. Well, let's put it this way. When you again, historically looking, and realize that if you build the nation, subjugated the people, and kept them people from equally being a part of it, right? And there's so many red tape stipulations and curves and obstacles in it that even after, from the time that they're calling, even if we go to 1650 or 1550 to this present day, and looking at the numbers and looking at the disparity in those numbers, and to say that you want to blame it on them when the schools that they go into are inferior quality schools that you wouldn't even send your children to. You understand? You won't even send your children. You can have politicians who live in the same cities, same states, and they won't even send their children. And what is that telling you? So when you say inferior, how are people inferior? Is because the quality of life, the quality of education, the quality of food, the quality of employment, then you will be inferior because all the things that you're giving to them are inferior. But no, don't put that in the equation They're just inferior. You're so great. Not after you had to purge nations and tribes and subjugate people. So it makes you great. Oh, if we do the same thing, then we would be great. But that's not in the heart of our people. We're not built like that. We're not building a house that a beaver couldn't even replicate. Right. Now, you make that analogy to saying the way beavers build, shit from just sticks and they be some construction, that if we built something, a beaver couldn't even replicate it. That's right. We built the pyramids. And it still have befuddled the minds of these so-called superior great peoples. That look at what you building today, you would swear down you have built greater than. You wouldn't even give the credit to them because you would say that the people came from space. It couldn't have been you. That's how inferior minded you are. But let's go on. So we're going to say, he said that the Negro contains foreign genetic material. I wonder what you're talking about, foreign genetic material. How are we the foreign genetic material if we are the fossils? How are we the foreign genetic material if we predate you? But this is the mindset that you people have. You constantly want to keep saying things without looking at what you're saying because, again, you said the extremely divergent appearance and pathological behavior. Who was it in the cave busting the head of each other, sleeping with the dead, fighting for mama to have copulations with? Who is that? So when you say we're all equal, the delusion, that's right. You're right. You're right about that. That is a delusion. It's very delusional. But the problem is we're slanting the evidence. We're reversing who's who. So if our people were ever to realize, as what he's saying, that we're not all equal, but they say, well, this delusional has been ground into dust by indisputable facts. If the true facts were out, would it still be facts to you? Or is it just factual because you're stating it and that you said it, so it must be true? But if we were to take the facts, because again, if you have subjugated people all over the planet and haven't allowed them to do their own investigation and work without your stamp of approval, and if they came with something entirely different, just like I can show you this brother that talked about atrazine, and when he found out the study that didn't go in sync with the corporation that would expose it to finding out that atrazine does something that is detrimental to human people, and then they didn't want that information because they wanted to do it as clandestine way as a defense mechanism to stop the copulation and procreation of people of color. But he got facts, but his facts can't be presented because those will be contradicting to what you want to purport. Isn't that how it always is? Matter of fact, if you go around a lot on the YouTube, you'll see a lot of white people who are actually exposing some of the contradictions and stuff that they've been told, and they're saying how much their people lie. They say they lie so much, it's unreal. But this person ain't gonna hear that because they're stuck. Somebody put a stick in his head and his wheel is stuck in that way. You get it? So he goes on and he says that the Jewish enemy continue. Now he said the Jew is their enemy, right? White people would tell you that the Jews is their enemy. And he said that the Jew is siding with you or us, saying that the Jewish enemy continues this desperate attempt to uplift the evolutionary dead end, slapping the ugly niggers on the new shekel. See? Let me put it to you like this. Give me your best. Give me your finest. Give me who you think is the finest that ever was coming out of you peoples. And I'll put up mine. Hands down, we win. So when you talk about a sister being the ugliest thing on there, I beg your pardon, dude. Sisters are the finest things, to the fact that the next part of what I want to go into, I'm going to show you that what you're talking about is trying to make our sisters seem like there's something by putting them on. I understand when you're talking about, and he doesn't understand, or at least he did not talk about it in here. And so that's what I'm going to do here, is connect the dots, as into he's putting our sisters on a pedestal for a reason. He's putting our sisters on a pedestal for a reason. And with all the stuff that's being done and all this positioning of this, international, either it's going to be a, coming together, or, battle lines being drawn. But let me show you something.
Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Do not go gentle into that good night.
So what you see is this video is talking about rage in the night. We're not going to sleep. We're going to work ourselves so that this miracle cure we need. Because if you see how that video was showing you, it was showing you if those who have the ability to see the real message in that video clip that I just showed you, what was it really talking about? Who is this rage, and why is it that they have to work so hard as into trying to find this cure? We cannot go into the dark. We must do everything in our breath to continue our existence. I go back to April 1st, 2013. Was it 13? I think 14. Yeah, 2014, April 1st, when I put out Extinction of the White Race. And a lot of people said that was crazy nonsense and so forth. Now this is a new clip that they put out recently. Now that they have the administration that they got in there, this is the focus. This is the nationalist focus on them reviving their nation. But there's a problem here. And the problem is the person who they want to have this full breed is having issues that science can't help it replicate fast enough. This is why you're seeing so many people with twins. I was always under the impression that twins were made because people had the gene strand that people in their family were twins. Seems like today you can drive up like McDonald's. Let me order them 2 twins with brown eyes, curly hair, skin a little bit much lighter, about 5'6", gotta be thick, that kind of thing, right? So since they're having a problem there, this is what they're trying to do. Check this out. Rachel Lindsay to make TV history as first black bachelorette. I'm gonna say that again. Rachel Lindsay to make TV history as first black bachelorette. Here in Bachelor Nation, they don't usually take too kindly to spoilers. But when there's entertainment history to be made, we allow it. Rachel Lindsay, the 31-year-old lawyer from Dallas, Texas, who had become a standout on Nick Viall's season of The Bachelor, won't be walking away from this season with a ring on her finger. She will, however, be walking away with her own show, which is only like a million times better. No offense to Nick. ABC's announced Monday that Lindsay will star on season 13 of The Bachelorette. The news leaked online ahead of this week's episode of the show and was later confirmed of Jimmy Kimmel's Live, with a special appearance by Chris Harrison. It's a big deal because Lindsay is not only the first black lead of the Bachelor franchise, but also still appearing on the show. We know. Have a sip of wine, you'll feel better. We're a couple weeks out from filming, so I'm ready to find love, find a husband. She revealed to Kimmel with a smile on Monday, hinting that it is not too late for her fans to throw their hats in the ring for her season. I'm excited. I'm ready. Lindsay started the season strong, taking home the coveted first impression rose. We don't know when or why things will go south with Nick. As of Monday's night episode, she was still in the running for his heart. But now we'll be looking for clues literally all the time. Ugh, this is like when you just had to flip to the last page of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows and knew that Harry didn't really die at the end. But honestly, that was probably good for your mental health because a 700-page book takes a long time to read and you might have actually lost it. So this is a blessing and something of a victory for minorities, of course, as it marks the first time a woman of color will be in the title role. The franchise has been criticized for its lack of diversity. The leads have been almost exclusively white through the show's history, and minorities have been consistently underrepresented among the contestants. This season, though, executives cast 8 out of 22 non-white contestants, the highest percentage ever. And news of Lindsay's casting is a happy ending for fans of progressive fairy tales. Surprisingly, Lindsay is not the first Bachelor lead to have 2 first names. Looking at you, Juan Pablo. But still, we think she'll find her place in TV history just fine. Now, for those out there who watch The Bachelor and Bachelorette, I myself don't focus no attention on none of that. You understand? Because I understand that entertainment means to divert ones from the attention of the real agenda. And so what they do is they masquerade a lot of this programming as feel-good stories to make people feel inclusive. But that's not what my gripe is. What I'm talking about is that accordingly, I'm going to call her a sister, right? I'm going to call her a sister. But I'm going to give my conclusion to it. Now, this Rachel Lindsay is to make TV history as the first Bachelorette. So it's, what's Mr. Blows Your Mind? Wait a minute, you not happy that we finally got a first black president? We finally got a first black woman here. Oh, we usually got a first black woman that's also now at Harvard as the president of Harvard. Did you hear about that? You're going to have the first black woman to be on the commemorative gold coin. Why are they putting all this first black up here? They even put out a movie about the sisters that had something to do with space and the space flight, right? That movie too, right? What is all this pertaining to, and why are they elevating? Not like I'm telling you, sisters. I'm not sitting here saying that you are not to be elevated, not to be appreciated, not to be put on a goddess pedestal when it's due. You understand? That's not what I'm saying. I'm not against that. What I'm saying is, why is this individual giving you so much adulations to the fact that, you know, back in the day, they say swelling that head up, huh? Your head getting big, right? He's doing that because he has an agenda for you. Matter of fact, did y'all see the new preview for the movie coming out? That was a movie that was done back, I think maybe it was in the 80s. He's either late 70s or 80s, was called The Handmaiden. When you originally seen that movie, they were getting rid of all the children of Ham, but now when you see it, they got some children of Ham included inside of the maiden's head. So why now are they starting to bring in the sisters? But let's get on with this story here. So you got this Bachelor Nation watching this Rachel Lindsay, who's 31-year-old lawyer from Dallas, Texas, right? And what's funny is the fact that she's already on the show, as you can see her with the white dude, right? And so they've already said it without saying it, because it doesn't make sense if they do anything other than that. Well, what are you talking about, Mr. Blow? Well, they said that the Bachelor won't be walking away from this season with a ring on her finger, right? Now, remember, they said that. Remember in the story when I read it, right? So, but it said, however, but she'll be walking away with her own show. So those who are watching this Bachelorette Nation or Bachelor Nation, she ain't finna win, regardless to how they plan it out. So they're gonna give you the consolation prize by now saying, well, you know, we're gonna let her get a show. For all you who are watching, now check this out. Now, I know a lot of people not into conspiracy, and, you know, somewhat I have my aspects of how I look at it. Now, she's 31, turn it backwards, you get 13, right? Isn't it ironic that when they're going to put her and do her show, it's going to be season 13? The Bachelorette? Huh? Isn't it ironic? That's those who are into that conspiracy stuff, right? So anyway, she's going to go, she went on Jimmy Kimmel Live and she was talking about all that stuff, right? And then they talking about how she's going to be the first black lead of the Bachelorette franchise, right? Right? So, now check this out. So, she ain't going to win because, again, they're not there to actually promote the white man taking a black woman, because that's going to cause controversy, especially in this day and time when everything is being propagated as the white nationalists as who is running the country, administration, and everything has been quiet in the back scene. We ain't hearing a whole lot of brothers getting killed by police all of a sudden, right? So anyway, so what I'm saying is those sisters who sitting here and understand that, okay, they're going to promote this and say, well, you're going to get the consolation. You know, for y'all who ever played ball, right? You go to the tournament, and then let's say you lose your first game. But the tournament ain't over, because then they have the consolation for those who lose. They got a bracket for playoffs for those who lost. And then there'll be a championship called the Consolation Championship. I done got one of them before. So, you understand? And so, this is what they saying. Oh, you sister that was all tied up into all this, and you was fantasizing and looking at this white man with this sister, and it looked like they were showing her she was in Mardi Gras, just grinding them up, and they had all them brothers in the background doing all the Mardi Gras blind. But see, that's the only time they there for that. But they went out, the matter of fact, did most of them even get to come back? Because I know a lot of them bought up a lot of that land and bought up a lot of them homes. So now they back there just out there as a gig, but are they really living in Louisiana like that? In that particular area. You know what I'm talking about? So somebody could comment if you can give me more information about that. So she was still running for the heart of this individual with Nick, I guess his name is, right? And so now that they done let the cat out the bag and said that she's going to have her own show, so what would be the purpose of them allowing her to be chosen, right? Because it would make no sense to have a show after. Now, this is the real part. So the story goes on, as I read, and said that this is a blessing and something of a victory for minorities. Really? How's this a victory? Oh, the consolation prize. You may not be first chosen, sisters, but we got you on the radar, and we are choosing you next. When she can't be right, you on deck. So they're saying that this is going to mark the first time a woman of color will be the title role. We've been seeing a lot of title role first lately. Harriet Tubman, Lindsay here, right? Commemorative goals. So all these firsts are just seem to me to be things that would be just saying, hey sisters, look, we'll put you first. They're not putting you first. They don't appreciate you. They're not trying to cast you as the beauty that you are, but we're gonna do it. So isn't it ironic that this same franchise has been criticized for lack of diversity, right? So all the time of the history of this show, they haven't even had the inkling thought of even casting the title role person as a person of color. And so now they choose at this particular time, they want to now put the sister as the marquee of the show. Now, a lot of people don't know how historically the portrayal of our people in general, but all the people that when you hear her say that her fan base, right, that her fan base can now not be disappointed because she's not going to win, but this is the constellation to continue your participation, to give high viewership. Because let me tell you something, most of the sisters, and again, it's not to blanket everybody, but majority of these sisters grew up reading those little white man novel books. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The little, I don't know, Cliffs of Dover with a white boy on there, and it showed him with no shirt and got his blue jeans on, and they're sitting in there fantasizing, and this is who they're prodding in the mind of. Now, when a white woman read it, it may be more of a real reality for her because that is the man that has been assigned to her. But for the sister who has been programmed from her youth up, and all the fairy tale Cinderellas and all that with the shining white prince, and then they're being programmed, clandestinely in books that they read and this fantasy, and then here now you're going to promote them on a show to pestilize them, and I made that word up. And so what's ironic also is the fact that, okay, like you say, the diversity, and then they say the minorities have been consistently unrepresented among the contestants. When you use the word minority and unrepresented, that's kind of like law. So if you take that word minority in law, that word means like a child, right? So also in this story goes on about these children of these women, again, childish in your mind of this, what they call it, a progressively fairy tale, right? Giving you a happy ending to your progressively fairy tale minds as to this dream that we've been writing the script in you ever since you have even started to be programmed. So now you have a living, breathing individual who's going to represent your progressive fairy tale, and we're going to give you all its glamour and shimmer, and we're going to make it, you understand? Because they had already hyped you up prior to the season that she's in now. But the problem is they don't want to let you down. They want to bring you back up because you had so much fun fantasizing about possibly getting whoever that white boy is. And so they said, we're going to continue it because it's going to be the 13th season, right? So there's this numerical aspect to it, right? And so they also said something that I thought that was very interesting, is the fact that they talked about they're going to cast this season, what they're talking about with her being the title role. They're talking about casting 8 of the 22 non-white contestants. 8 out of 22 of those 22 contestants are going to be men of color. It didn't say black. So that means there could be a wide spectrum of different colors, because anything that we know that's supposed to be for solely for black people seem to be it becomes umbrella that everybody else get a piece of the pie. So I'm going to tell you right here, even though I don't watch the show, that tells me that's basically almost a 3-to-1 odds she's going to pick a white man. I'm going to say it again. 8 out of the 22, there's a 3-to-1 odds almost that she's going to pick that white man. And once she does that, what is that going to set in the minds of sisters who at this point in time? Because let me show you the other aspect to it on the economical, why they're putting her on the money, so that they're putting her as the 24 karat gold, right, commemorative coin, right? But what's really going on, right? Check this story out. The truth about the Fed's C6 plan for digital dollar. You know I'm going to say that again. The truth about the Fed's C6 plan for digital dollars. Will you soon be forced to turn in your hundreds of cash dollars for a few digital dollars? That appears to be the design of a new plan for a digital currency discovered on the Kansas City Federal Reserve public server. Based on what we see in the C6 provisions in the plan, you and I could soon be exchanging, say, 100 cash dollars for merely 70 new digital dollars, hosted or trapped, as some would say, in electronic American banking system. The plan seems to the latest steps in the crackdown on cash and currency control, seen in state and federal laws such as RS 37 1866 and PL 111-147 or 5324 of the United States Code. Is it Big Brother or something much worse? Critics worry that this is Big Brother, latest efforts to monitor its citizens more closely. However, new revelations show a radically different cause for this government's push, and one more disturbing. It would appear that there's about to be a massive shortage of cash in America. Bloomberg has reported that foreign banks are now complaining of a severe shortage in dollars, a sentiment echoed by employees at the Bank of International Settlement, and confirmed by a report from an economist at Harvard. And it would appear that it is all about to end with a scenario that the highest levels of our government and banking systems have warned would devastate the country. America's biggest economic risk. Janet Yellen, the chairwoman of the Federal Reserve, has gone on record to call this America's biggest economic risk. A former official from the Treasury Department has described a scenario like this, saying literally your ATM wouldn't work. You type in your code, no money comes out, you get your paycheck, you can't cash it. According to a video, we're about to experience that firsthand and very soon. It comes from a private news and research network that usually reserves information like this for its private subscribers. Interestingly enough, this is the same network that accurately predicted the 2008 financial crisis as well as the rise of Muslim terrorism in the late 90s. This exposed, coming directly from their founder, a first in the company's history, is their latest and perhaps most daring. So you have this C6 plan for the digital dollars, for those who probably didn't even know about this or heard about it. So they're talking that the feds are talking about this C6 plan. And the reason why they're talking about this is because they're saying that the market in the foreign banks are complaining of a severe shortage of dollars. And when you understand the debt of our nation and who are some of the prime holders, that mostly are foreign, right? International foreign people, right? And so if there's going to be any exchanging of the currency, right? Because I remember at one time back in maybe like 2010, 11, they were talking about bringing in the Amero, right? They were going to change it to the Amero. now they said they're going to do this digital dollar because a lot of people have been talking about Bitcoin, and then what they did with the digital dollar is that they revamped what Bitcoin had did and perfected so that it would be able to be fluent in their own system. So what would end up happening if the system does go into this new digital dollar currency, that the trade-in value, you would lose 30% of your money on the trade-in value, right? Because it said $100 cash for merely 70 new digital dollars. So that's like 30% loss on your money. And so, isn't it ironic? You said 100, and we're talking about the sister being as the commemorative gold coin, right? Which, when you look at the value of a gold coin today's market, right? So when they talk about consuming, people should be hoarding. Not so much if you're not into the image, but the simple fact about the gold in itself, because they said that there's going to be a call-in or trade-in. So this is why we're probably seeing so many people out here doing what they're doing, as that you're trying to line themselves up with massa, is because, you know, if you got plenty of money and you out here and you're investing and you're trading and so forth, you are very astute as into the money of what's going on in your nation and in foreign as well. And so they're saying that the highest level of our government and banking system have warned that this would devastate the country. Now that we got a new administration, based on this hairline trigger between the liberals and the I guess you could say the conservative and that the Republican aspect of the, you know, old Confederate, right? And, you know, then they're talking about treason. So, I mean, and then we're talking about collapse of money. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff going on. So I'm saying that you want to promote the sister on a Titanic. Not also they talking about the sister, they also talking about the Asian, the Hispanic. They want to put all these women, because this is the real reason why I'm bringing this story, because it goes on also and talks about that Janet Yellen has gone on record and called it America's biggest economic risk, is, I guess, you know, because it said it would be literally if you went into your ATM, put in your code, and you could get no money, you got a paycheck and you couldn't cash it. So you just basically got, you know, no money, right? And this will cause a lot of chaos when people can't and are not allowed to get what they thought they had. And so they said that this same network is the one that predicted accurately about 2008 financial crisis and the Muslim terrorism. So when you're talking about all this together, this is a Molotov cocktail stealthily being stated. There's some things that could be foreseen that's coming down the line. And to now bring a commemorative of the 225th year of this institution for this banking of this money, you know, what must set off a people who already disdained at you, that they know this information that I'm talking about. And then you already just had your first black president, and the sentiment and resentment they, you know, cherish and harbor about that. Then now they're talking about, as we see that the title is about this goddess, right? They're saying putting the goddess on the money, right? Right? They talking about that, and they just talking about how it's delusional, right? And it's on a sinking ship. So they're saying when this all falls up, you're pointing everything towards us, and you'll make those who's supposed to be with us jump ship, because they said when it's all said and done, these institutions will reestablish itself. Like they said, this digital currency money, they'll be back on square, and you'll be degraded because you're losing 30%. Just imagine most of us who got any little bit of money, if you got $5,000 in the bank and somebody take 30%, if you lose 30% on the traded value of that, you understand what I'm saying? Somebody who got $1 million losing 30% of that, you understand? So a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money on the traded value if this thing was to fruition. So, you know, somebody is pulling a lot of strings here to try to make a lot of shit happen to piss off a lot of people. And so I'm just saying, sisters, they're putting the cheese on the trap. Now, it's up to you whether you fall for it. Again, y'all, I'm your host, Mr. Blows Your Minds, bringing you a live, indirect presentation. I would like to have a lot of you subscribe, you know, get into the circle so that you could be a panel when I do these live. Because right now, I'm missing a few things to make my live so that you could actually see me. That stuff is coming soon. But what I would like for you to do is to be a part of the show by you could be a panel. And as I display a lot of this, and we can go into some dialogue and get some feedback from real people other than my own opinion, and you could be a part of the show. Hit me up, subscribe, and again, you know my motto, y'all. I ain't telling you what I heard. I'm telling you what I know.
So you must first of all remember that this system was not originally designed with black people in mind.